Good morning to a very early Sunday morning. 2 a.m. in the morning here in southeast Kansas, middle of the United States. Pardon me. I've been having problems with breathing. My COPD and emphysema has been acting up really bad, so it's been really challenging to do anything. But I am trying to make an attempt. I'm here. We're going to pick up where we left off in Proverbs chapter 19. Proverbs chapter 19. I hope you guys all have a good Sunday. If I don't see or hear from you, Proverbs chapter 19, verse 1. Better is the poor that walketh in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. Also, that the soul be without knowledge, it is not good, and he that hasteth with his feet sinneth. The foolishness of man forbiddeth his way, and his heart fretteth against the Lord. Wealth maketh many friends, but the poor is separated from his neighbor. False witness shall be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall not escape. Many will entreat the favor of the prince, and every man is a friend of him that giveth gifts. All the brethren of the poor do hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He pursueth them with words, yet they are wanting to him. He that guardeth wisdom loveth his own soul. He that keepeth understanding shall find good. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall perish. Delight, verse 10, chapter 19, verse 10 in Proverbs. Delight is not seemly for a fool, much less for a servant to have rule over princes. Is the discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and is his glory to pass over a transgression. King's wrath is the roaring of a lion, but his favor is a dew upon the grass. A foolish son is calamity of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dropping. House and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from the Lord. Verse 15. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger. He that keepeth the commandments keepeth his own soul, but he that despiseth his way shall die. He that hateth pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again. Chasten thy son while there is hope, and let not thy soul spare for his crying. A man of great wrath shall suffer punishment, for if thou deliver him, yet thou must do it again. Verse 20. Hear counsel and receive instruction, that thou mayest be wise in thy later end. There are many devices in a man's heart, nevertheless the counsel of the Lord that shall stand. The desire of a man is his kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar. The fear of the Lord tendeth to life, he that hateth shall abide satisfied. He shall not be visited with evil. A slothful man hideth his hands, his bosom, and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again. Verse 25. Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware, and reprove one that hath understanding, and he will understand knowledge. He that wasteth his father, and chaseth away his mother, is a son that causeth shame, and bringeth reproach. Cease, my son, to hear the instructions that casteth to err from the words of knowledge. And godly witness scorneth judgment, and the mouth of the wicked devoureth iniquity. Judgments are prepared for scorners, and stripes for the back of fools. Okay, let's go back to chapter 19, verse 2. Okay, we're going to start going over the verses. 19, verse 2. Also that the soul be without knowledge, is it not good? And he that hasteth his feet sinneth. He hasteth with his feet means makes haste with his feet to proceed without caution and direction. Verse 3. The foolishness of man perverteth the way, and his heart freteth against the Lord. The foolish man blames the Lord for failures he has brought upon himself. Look at verse 6. Many will entreat the favor of the prince, and every man is a friend in him that giveth gifts. Prince means better or generous man. Verse 7. All the brethren of the poor do hate him. How much more does his friends go far from him? He pursueth them with words, yet they are wanting to him. Yet they are wanting to him means they not, or they are gone. In verse 10, in other words, in verse 7, they're talking about they're leaving him behind. They're gone. They don't want nothing to do with him no more. Okay, let's look at verse 10. Delight is not seemly for a fool, much less for a servant to have rules over princes. Comfort tends to confirm a fool in his folly. Let's take a look at verse 11. The discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and his glory to pass over a transgression. Better means a man's discretion makes him slow to anger. Let's look at verse 16. He that keepeth the commandments keepeth his own soul, but he that despiseth his way shall die. Premature death is the lot of those who disregard the law and are careless with respect to proper living. In other words, we are already condemned to death. That's already been proven time and time again. In books of Romans, when I do the Roman roads of salvation, it's all because of Adam and Eve did the ultimate sin by eating fruit from the forbidden tree that God told them not to eat. Because of that, we are all, fortunately, all condemned sinners, even before we were even born. It's up to us to ask God for forgiveness so that we may live eternity with Him in heaven versus death and living, or in death in the fiery pits of hell. Okay, I can go on. I could write Romans real easy, but we're not going to do that tonight. Or this morning, sorry. It's very early morning. We're going to go to verse 18 now. Chasten thy son while there is hope, and let not thy soul spare for his crying. And let not thy soul spare for his crying means to cause him to die, or do not lift up your soul. Do not neglect child discipline and thereby bring on your own son's death. So it's up to you as parents, is what it's saying, is to bring up your kids right by the laws of the Ten Commandments and what Jesus' commandments are, which is love and forgiveness. And don't be afraid to discipline your kids to keep them on track. This way they won't sin again. Now, disciplining doesn't mean digging out a belt and whipping them or digging out a switch. It's a lot different nowadays. Okay? I can't exactly say what each state allows and what each state doesn't. That's all discretionary here in the United States. But there are very strict rules on how we discipline our kids. Hitting them is not one of them. There are ways to discipline them That I will look at your child and family services or your DCF, and they can help you with ways to come up with help disciplining your kids. That's the best way I could tell you. Verse 19. A man a great wrath shall suffer punishment, for if thou deliver him, thou must do it again. It is futile to rescue a man given in anger, for his temper will repeatedly land him in fresh trouble. So, in other words, if you're going to rescue someone, get him to calm down. Don't let his anger flare up again, because just to get him back into trouble again, you got to get him to calm down and get rid of his temper. Okay? Verse 20. Hear counsel and receive instruction that thou mayest be wise in thy latter end. And thy latter end means the rest of your life. Verse 22. The desire of a man of his kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar. Better. What is desirable in a man is his loyal love. And that's that's what Jesus preaches in the New Testament. Let's look at verses 19. Chapter 19, verse 23. The fear of the Lord tendeth his life, and he that hateth shall abide satisfied. He shall not be visited with evil. The second part, where it says better, is that he may pass the night satisfied, not visited with evil. Let's go to verse 24. A slothful man hideth his hands in his bosom, and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again. Having dipped his hands in the bosom, or better dish, the sluggard does not have the strength to lift the food to his mouth. Really, back then they didn't have, well, they did, but they didn't have utensils like we do nowadays, like forks and knives and spoons. They used their hands to scoop up and feed themselves out of bowls and such. So the sluggard, or okay, let's say someone on the street who has not had food in forever, does not have the energy to pick his food up and eat it. He gets his hand in there, but he needs assistance. Okay. Verse 25. Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware, and reprove one that hath understanding, and will understand knowledge. A scorner, or scoffer, means beware, becomes shrewd. A simpleton needs an object lesson in order to learn. He must see that the mocker suffers. A wise man needs only a word of reproof to set him right. Let's look at verse 26. He that wasteth his father and shatteth away his mother is a son causeth shame and bringeth reproach. That verse is almost self-explanatory in itself. Wasteth means better or assault. Not to follow the instruction of one's parents is bad enough. But to mistreat and drive them away is unspeakable and disgraceful. And yes, it is exactly what it says here in the section in below that I read from the Bible. It is very disgraceful to have your kids despise you and push you away. You get more information if you look at 1 Timothy. Let's look. Hold your spot. Hold your spot. We're going to go to 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. 1 Timothy, if I can find it. I got a different Bible, so I have to dig a little bit. 1 Timothy should be right there. Okay, 1 Timothy chapter 5. Verse 8. One page too far. Okay, chapter 5, verse 8 says, but on 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8 says this, But if any man provide not for his own, especially for those of his own house, he has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. So basically, let's see here. He's providing for one's own relatives and especially immediate family. The believers, and it's a believer's duty. If you are a child of God, you need to take care of your household, whether you're the husband, wife, or children. It is your responsibility how to take care of your children or your parents. Because believe it or not, their parents are strong, but as you get older, it's harder for them to do stuff, and you have to reach out. And you have to help them. It's no way, but you can't just push them away out of your life because they're the ones that brought you into this life. Just like someone once told me, they brought you into the world, they can take you out of the world. So, but to me, that's a bigger speech. But I'm sure there are a few parents out there that would love to do that to some of their kids with the way the kids treat them. So let's be nice, okay? It's so much better to help out, to be a better Christian by helping out those near you, your family, your siblings, your parents, your your kids, your nieces, your nephews, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, your cousins. It's important to help them and help out your friends. Okay? Let's take a look at verse 27, chapter 19, verse 27. Cease, my son, to hear the instruction that causeth to err from the words of knowledge. Better, or cease to hear instruction, my son, and you will stray from the words of knowledge. The man who stops hearing and obeying will soon go astray. In other words, if you stop listening to the gospel or the law, and you do whatever you want, regardless of what the Bible says or what the law says, like here, we have our laws here in the United States that we have to abide by. If you don't abide by it, you go straight, you'll end up either in jail, or if you don't abide by the Bible, you can find yourself astray and might not find yourself going to heaven. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. We're all, no matter how far away you're astray, you go away from God. God will be more than willing to forgive you and take you back. Okay, He loves us. We are His children. But in return, He asks for you to be to ask for forgiveness and to follow His laws that are in the Bible. There's the Ten Commandments and the commandments that Jesus gave us. Learn to walk in Jesus' footsteps. That's what it's all about. Okay? Verse 28. An ungodly witness scorneth judgment, and the mouth of the wicked devoureth iniquity. Ungodly means worthless, scorneth judgment, mocks justice. Devoureth means swallows. To practice evil is enjoyment of the wicked. Now we're going to go to chapter 20. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 1. I'm going to read the whole chapter of 30 verses, and then we're going to go back over everything. Okay? Chapter 20, verse 1. Wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceiveth thereby is not wise. The fear of a king is as the roaring of a lion, whoso provoketh him to anger sinneth against his own soul. It is an honor for a man to cease from strife, but every fool will be meddling. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold. Therefore shall he beg in harvest, and have nothing. Verse 5. Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. Most men will proclaim every one his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find? The just man walketh in his integrity. His children are blessed after him. King that's a king that sitteth in the throne of judgment scattereth away all evil with his eyes. Who can say, I have made my heart clean? I am I am pure from my sin? Verse 10. Diverse weights, diverse measures, both of them are like abomination to the Lord. Hold on one second. I want to mark something real quick. Verse 9. I can relate to that verse because it's one of the first verses that I talk about in Romans' road to salvation. I'll just see if I can find it real quick. Here we are. Chapter 6, verse 1, 2. Yeah, chapter 6, 1 and 2. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin, that grace may be abound? God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Okay. I'm not sure if that's exactly the one that I'm looking for. Oh, chapter 3, verse 23. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. 24. Being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus. So you can see where, or actually, verse 3. Here we go. Chapter 3, verse 9. What then? Are we better than they? No, in no wise. For we have before proved both Jews and Gentiles, meaning the righteous and the unrighteous, that we're all under sin. It is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. There is none understandeth, there is none that seeketh after God. We are all under sin, okay? No matter how right you try to do, you're not going to get to heaven on just works alone. You have to ask Jesus. He is the only way to heaven by going through him. That's why chapter 9 it sounds very familiar to me. Verse 9 of chapter 20 of Proverbs says, who can say, I have made my heart clean? I am, and then it says, I am pure from my sin. Asking a question, I am pure from my sin? No, we are not pure from our sin. Not until we ask for forgiveness from Jesus Christ, our Lord. Okay, now we're going to continue. Proverbs chapter 10. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 10. Diverse weights and diverse measures, both of them are alike, and an abomination to the Lord. Even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure, and whether it be right. The hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord hath made even both of them. Love not sleep, lest thou come to poverty. Open thine eyes, and thou shalt be satisfied with bread. It is not, said the buyer, but when he is gone his way, he boasteth. Verse 15. There is gold in multitude of rubies, but the lips of the knowledge are precious jewels. Take his garment, that is surety for a stranger, and take pledge of him for a strange woman. Bread of deceit is sweet to a man, but afterwards his mouth shall be filled with gravel. Every purpose is established by counsel, and with good advice make war. He that goeth about as a table-bearer receiveth or revealeth secrets. Therefore meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips. Verse 20. Whoso curseth his father or his mother, his lamp shall be put out in obscure darkness. And an inheritance may be gotten hastily at the beginning, but the end thereof shall not be blessed. Say not thou, I will recompense evil, but wait on the Lord, and he shall save thee. Diverse weights are an abomination unto the Lord, and a false balance is not good. Man's going are the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? It is snare to the man who devoureth that which is holy, and after vow to make inquiry. Verse 26. A wise king scattereth the wicked, bringeth the wheel over them. The spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, searching all the inward parts of the belly. Mercy and truth preserve the king, and his throne is upholded by mercy. The glory of a young man is their strength, and the beauty of old men is gray ahead. Verse 30. The blueness of a wound cleaneth away evil, so do stripes that inward parties of the belly. I want to go back to back to the verse 1 of chapter 20, Proverbs. So it's Proverbs chapter 20, verse 1. I'm going to start going over everything we just read. Wine is a mocker, strong drinking, a raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. Raging is one making an uproar. Oh, and I've seen those at parties. People just get all drunk and get up really loud and obnoxious. Okay, wine and strong drink are personified as a drunkard, is deceived, staggers, or i.e. intoxicated. As people get more and more intoxicated, they get louder and louder and more ignorant and stupid. Trust me, drinking is not the way to go. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I know what I'm talking about. It's not the way to be. I've been on the wagon since I turned 21. I would occasionally, like every 2 to 6 years, go buy one bottle and try drinking it. I could not even finish half of it. It's so disgusting now. I can't even handle it. Trust me. And that being sober, I'm watching people who get drunk. As a cab driver, man, they are getting loud, they're obnoxious. They play with your radio in the cab. I mean, they're hitting you when you're trying to drive them to their safely to their destinations to get home to bed. Stay away from alcohol. It's not the answer. Okay? Verse 2 of chapter 20 in Proverbs. The fear of a king is as the roaring of a lion, whose provoketh him to anger, sinneth against his own soul. Sinneth against means jeopardize. So you're really jeopardizing your own soul by going up against the king, which is like a lion. And that's God. Okay? That's Jesus. You don't want, like when Jesus turn the tables upside down in the um, temples, calling them sinners, calling them thieves, because they were stealing from the church money that was supposed to be donated to the church or to the temple. The sellers there were taking the money and pocketed the money instead of giving it to the church. Okay? Verse 3. It is an honor for a man to cease from strife, but every fool will be meddling. What he means by meddling is to break out or quarrel. So you don't want to. Okay, it is honor for a man to cease from strife. You don't want to argue. It's best is just to cool down the situation instead of getting arguing, yelling, and getting into a fight. Kind of just back up and neutralize the situation. Don't let it get out of hand. Take control of it. Back away. If you need to, turn around and walk away. Okay, the best answer I can give you right there. Verse 4. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold. Therefore shall not he beg in harvest and have nothing. By reason of the cold means from winter. From the beginning of winter on, in Israel, the farmer waited for the October through November rains to start his plowing and planting of winter crops. The sluggard procrastinates because of the weather and consequently does not bring in a harvest. So by procrastinating, trust me, I've seen enough procrastinators. I've a few that I'm not going to mention names, but I do procrastinate, and things don't get done. And that's where I kind of have to pick up the slack in a lot of situations because when I ask for stuff to get done, it don't get done. So I a lot of times I have to rely on myself because of those slackers. So I understand where they're coming from there. Okay, verse 5. Counsel in the heart of man is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out. A man's real intention may be hidden, but a wise person is able to penetrate and discern his inner thoughts. Okay? Now we're going to verse 7. The just man walketh in his integrity, his children are blessed after him. The proverb is based on the principles of Exodus chapter 20, verses 5 and 6. So if we want to hold the place, we're going to go to Exodus chapter 20, verse 5 and 6. I should get it right. Exodus chapter 20, verses 5 and 6. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and shewing mercy unto thousands of them that love me, and keep thy commandments. Okay. It's a figure of wood, of stone that is object for. Okay. That's the artist employees in the tabernacle. They do not violate this commandment, but verse 5 states this cumulative effects of sin, but responsibility is always on the individual. Okay? So we are now on verse 9. Who can say, I have made my heart clean, I am pure from my sin? The implied answer is nobody. That's teaching the impossibility of sinless perfection. So there's no one pure of sin. When the question is asked, who can I say, I have made my heart clean, I am pure from my sin? No, you cannot make your heart pure and clean of sin. Only one person, only two. And they're all in one. Actually, three. Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Those are only three that can purify your heart. Okay? Now we're going to verse 10. Diverse weights and diverse measures, both of them are alike abomination to the Lord. Or false weights. And okay. Let's go to verse 11. Even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right. The activities of a child in his early years pointing to the direction his life is taking. Let's look at verse 14. It is not, saith the buyer, but when he is gone his way, then he boasteth. Beware the buyer who says that something is not, or bad, in order to get the price down so that he can boast of the bargain he got. Okay, let's go to verse 16. Take his garment that is sorely for a stranger, and take a pledge of him for a strange woman. The one who is surely the person responsible should the borrower default for a stranger of a strange woman, better a foreigner, to be certain he receiveth some collateral. Take a look at verse 17. Bread of deceit is sweet to a man, but afterwards his mouth shall be filled with gravel. Bread of deceit means better, a bread of falsehood. Um, it's basically describing you see something that you like, and you just check, and then that's one of our sins is temptation. You want it here on this earth. You want it, and it may be sweet to take to begin with, like cake. But afterwards, your mouth gets dry or whatever. You need to drink milk or something to wash it down. That's is one of the ways. Like you see a beautiful car that you want, you get it. It's everything that you wanted. But later on down the road, you find out it's a lemon. It doesn't work with diddly squat, so you better not go that route. Okay, let's look at verse 19. He that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth secrets. Therefore meddle not with him that flattereth his lips. He that flattereth with his lips, it means a foolish or babbler. In verse 20, who curseth his father or his mother, his lamp shall be put out in obscure darkness. Lamp, it means the lamp of life. In other words, anyone that shuns their parents, they will be shunned in people's eyes. At least I know I would shun people if they don't treat their mother and their father right. Verse 24. Man's goings are the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? God's sovereignty over man's ways is beyond our full comprehension. Let's look at verse 25. It is a snare to the man who devoureth that which is holy, and after vows to make inquiry. It is perilous to dedicate something to the Lord and reconsider the vow. Verse 26. The wise king scattereth the wicked, and bringeth the wheel over them. Scattereth means punish. The wheel means the wheel of the cart used in thrashing. Verse 27. The spirit of a man is a candle of the Lord, searching all the inward parts of the belly. The conscience searches the inner part of a man to convict of sin. Verse 29. The glory of young men is their strength, and the beauty of old men is the gray head. Beauty meaning splendor. Verse 30. The blueness of a wound cleanseth away evil, so do stripes and inward parts of the belly. The blueness of a wound means blows of a bruise. Severe blows that bruise, so do stripes the inward parts. Better to blows the dark chambers of the belly. Physical discipline may cure a man of evil and cleanse his inner person. Now we're on to chapter 21. Proverbs chapter 21. I'm going to read it, and then we're going to go over it. There's 31 verses. The king's heart is the hand of the Lord as the rivers of water. He tuneth it with whosoever he will. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth in the heart. To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. An high look and proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked is sin. Verse 5. The thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but to every one that is hasty only to want. The getting of treasures by a lying tongue is vanity tossed to and fro of them that seek death. The robbery of the wicked shall destroy them, because they refuse to do judgment. The way of a man is froward and strange, but as for pure his works is right. It is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than with brawling women in a wide house. Verse 10. The soul of the wicked desireth evil, the neighbor findeth no favours in his eyes. Verse 11. When the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise, and when the wise is instructed, he receiveth knowledge. The righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked, but God overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness. Whoso stoppeth his ears as the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard. A gift in secret pacifieth anger, and a reward in the bosom strong wrath. It is joy to the just to do judgment, but destruction shall be the workers of iniquity. Verse 16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. The wicked shall be ransomed for the righteous, and the transgressor for the upright. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with the continuous and angry woman. Verse 20. There is treasure to be desired in oil in the dwelling of the wise, and a foolish man spendeth it up. He that followeth after righteousness and mercy findeth life, righteousness and honor. A wise man scaleth the city of the mighty, and casteth down the strength of confidence thereof. Whose keepeth the mouth, and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. Proud and haughty scorner is his name, who dealeth in proud wrath. Verse 25. The desire of the slothful killeth him, but his hands refuse to labor. He covereth greedily all the days long, but the righteous giveth the spirit not. The sacrifice of the wicked is abomination. How much more when he bringeth it with a wicked mind? A false witness shall perish, but the man that heareth speaketh constantly. A wicked man hardeneth his face, but as for the upright he directeth his way. Verse 30. There is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor counsel against the Lord. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of the Lord. Okay, let's go back to chapter 21, verse 1. The king's heart is the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. The tuneth is withers over he will. Tiglath-Pileser, New Bedford. I can't pronounce the names. Tiglath-Pileser. You find them in Isaac chapter 10, verse 6 and 7. Nebuchadnezzar, you find in Daniel chapter 4, verses 31 and 32. And Cyrus, you see in Isaiah chapter 41, verses 2 through 4. And the Artaxerxes, I can't pronounce the names, I'm sorry. You'll find in Ezra chapter 7, verse 21, are examples of autocrats whose God used as water either to flood or fertilize Israel. Let's take a look at verse 4. A high look and a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked is sin. Plowing means better or lamp of the wicked, the standard that governs the lives of the wicked or the arrogant life. Look at verse 5. The thoughts of the diligent tend to be plenteousness, but of every one that is hasty only to want. Thoughts or plans, plenteousness means benefit. Let's take a look at verse 6. The getting of treasure by a lying tongue is vanity tossed to and fro of them that seek death, that seeketh death. Is vanity or better. It's blown vapor, seeketh of death, seekers of death. Let's go to verse 7. The robbery of the wicked shall destroy them, because they refuse to do judgment. Robbery means violence or judgment, justice. In verse 8, it says, the way of a man is froward and strange, but as for the pure, his work is right. His work is right. Better means the way of the guilty man is crooked, but as for the poor, he conducts is upright. And in other words, the man who guilty of the man that is crooked. Like a thief. They're crooked. They'll find ways to cheat and lie to get what they want for their own personal gain. However, the poor, who's so used to not having nothing, most likely is going to conduct things uprightly and do what Jesus and God wants, because there's nothing else for them in their lives. They have no money. The money's a worldly thing anyway, so if you die, you're not going to be able to bring it with you up to heaven. It's just a worldly thing, so why? I just get enough money to pay the bills, rent, and get groceries in the house. That's all we need. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? Let's look at verse 12. The righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked, but God overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness. Better means the righteous one considers the house of the wicked, subverting the wicked to ruin. Verse 13. Whoso stoppeth his ears at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard. Heard or answered. Verse 14. A gift is a secret, pacifieth anger, and a reward in the bosom of strong wrath. Pacifieth means soothness, means soothe. Like when a baby cries, you give a baby a bottle of milk, and they stop crying, and they focus on drinking the milk. The proverb does not promote bribery, but simply states facts. The word for a gift has no negative connotations, whereas rewards or bribes does. Take a look at verse 15. It is joy to the just to do judgment. The destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. Just means righteous or judgment. But destruction shall be, or if you say not dismay. The execution of justice brings joy to the righteous and dismay to the wicked. Take a look at verse 16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. Those who neglect wisdom shall soon find their way to the grave. In other words, if you don't seek wisdom, it's just, a good example, common sense. People just do things without thinking through the process. They could either end up getting hurt or dead. That's why I always talk about common sense is an endangered species because these new generations that are coming up, trust me, there's nothing. Also, in my generation, there's a lot they just don't think. They just act and do, and it's going to be their downfall because they're not using any common sense. And that's basically what that's saying in chapter 16. Let's do chapter 18. The wicked shall be ransomed to the righteous, and the transgressors for the upright. Transgressor means treacherous. The wicked, rather than the righteous, will be ultimately suffer judgment. Verse 20. There is treasure to be desired and oil in the dwellings of the wise, but a foolish man spinneth it up. The wise man plans and saves for the future, but the foolish person squanders that he has. Like you've heard about the story about the ant and the grasshopper. I'm sure everyone's heard that story. How winter comes, the ants are busy storing up food, and the grasshopper is being lazy. Winter comes, and the grasshopper's starving, don't have a shelter. While the ants are in their nice little ant hill, all warm, and have all the food for all winter long, grasshopper dies of starvation because he wasn't planning or thinking ahead. That's a good way to look at that one. Chapter 21, verse 22. A wise man scaleth the city of the mighty, and casteth down the strength of confidence thereof. Strength of confidence thereof means strength of its trust. The stronghold in which the defenders have placed their confidence. Wisdom is superior to physical strength. Look at verse 24. Proud and haughty scorner is his name, who dealeth in proud wrath. Dealeth in proud wrath means acts boundless and arrogant. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those arrogant people. They don't turn me away. I walk away from those people. I can't handle it when they get arrogant and like that, thinking they're better than everyone else. Because they're not. We're all sinners. Even after we're saved, we are still sinners, and we got to always continually and pray to Jesus for forgiveness. Pray to God for forgiveness, because that is the only way we get to heaven. Praise, as for praying, there's no specific time. We can pray anytime, anywhere, but don't do a big show doing it in public. Do it in your bedroom. Do it in your closet. In other words, do it where no one else is watching or can hear you, because it is personal between you and God. It is, if you were like the Pharisees, making a big deal of preaching and getting mud over their face like that, like they're making that big deal like praying, like, oh, look at us, we're praying. You're not. You're just being fools of yourself. God doesn't like that at all. Okay. Oh, I lost my place. Okay, let's look at verse 26. He coveteth greedily all the days long, but the righteous giveth and spareth not. Whereas the sluggard craves his sleep, the righteous gives himself unreservedly to his work. Verse 27. The sacrifice of the wicked is abomination. How much more when he bringeth in his wicked mind? Mind means plan or intent in that verse. So you get verse 28. A false witness shall perish, but the man that heareth speaketh constantly. But though the false witness will perish, the one who listens attentively will report accurately, and his testimony will stand. You look at verse 29. A wicked man hardeneth his face, but as for the upright, he discerneth his way. Hardeneth his face means shows his defiance by his countenances directly his way, makes his way sure. And now we're going to look at both verses 30 and 31. This is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor counsel against the Lord. The horse is prepared against the day of battle. The safety is of our Lord. You do not fight against the Lord, and if you want safety, do not fight without him. It's like a horse. A lot of times when you first start training a horse, he wants to do his own thing. But as he's trained, he will learn to follow that particular rider or person or persons, meaning plural, that he just wants safety. God only wants safety to protect us. So it's better not to fight and to have God with you to help protect you from the evil that are out there. Now let's look at verse 22. Chapter 22. Yes, I'm going over the hour mark. Huh. Okay, we're going to do chapter 22. Proverbs chapter 22. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. The rich and the poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished by humility. And the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. Thorns and snares are in the way of the froward, but that doeth keep his soul shall be far from them. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Riches ruleth over the over the poor. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. He that soweth iniquity shall reap vanity, and the rod of his anger shall fail. He that hath bountiful eyes shall be blessed, for the giveth of his bread is of the poor. Cast out the scorners, and contention shall go out. Ye strife and reproach shall cease. He that loveth pureness of heart, for the grace of his lips, the king shall be his friend. The eyes of the Lord preserve knowledge, and he overthroweth the words of the transgressor. The slothful man saith, there is a line without. I shall be slain in the streets. The mouth of a strange woman is a deep pit. He that is borneth in the Lord shall fall therein. Foolishness is bound to the heart of a child, but the rod of constant correction shall drive it far from him. He that oppresseth the poor to increase the riches, and that giveth the riches shall surely come to want. That was verse 16. Okay, we're not going to do all of verse 22. We're going to just do up to verse 16, which we just did. I'm going to go back over and cover all that. Okay, 22 says a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. A good name means good character and the reputation that should go with it. Verse 2. The rich and the poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all. The rich and the poor alike have a common origin and responsibility to God. In other words, it doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. We all have responsibility to serve our God. It's very important. Okay. The prudent keeps clear of evil, but the civil charge right in the pay. Okay, no, verse 3. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. The prudent keeps clear of evil, but the civil charge right in and pay the penalty for doing so. So like it says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hides himself. In other words, he doesn't want to be around evil because he was just raising death. Now with the evilness. Unlike someone that's reckless. Verse 4. By humility and fear of the Lord and riches and honor and life. Means the reward is humility and the fear of the Lord. Verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Train may include the idea of delicate as well as educate in the way he should go, according to his way, or the child's habits and interests. The instruction must take into account his individuality and inclinations as to be in keeping with his degree of physical and mental development. Look at verse 8. He that soweth iniquity shall reap vanity, and the rod of his anger shall fail. Rod of anger means the capacity for exercising anger. The wicked will reap what they sow and eventually perish. For those that are angry all the time, anger is one of the things considered sin. You don't want to get angry because in the end you know where you're going. You're going down, not up. Well, as we preserve, the way I see it, heaven is up above and hell is down below. So I'd rather go up than down, actually. Even though I'm scared of heights, I'd rather go to heaven. Sorry, folks, my phone keeps going off. I'm supposed to be checking my oxygen level to make sure it's accurate. I'll check in a little bit. Let's look at verse 4. I think we just did that one. Verse 6. We did 6, didn't we? Okay, we'll do verse 8. He that soweth iniquity shall reap vanity, and the rod of his anger shall fail. Rod of anger, the capacity of exercising anger. The wicked will reap that they sow and eventually perish. Oh, that's one we just recently did. I'm sorry. The one in verse 9. He that hath bountiful eyes shall be blessed, for he giveth of his bread to the poor. A bountiful eyes means has good eye and looks with kindness and benevolence. I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing the word right. It means, okay, great example. My brother and I both are doing the same thing. We take the shirt our own backs to help someone out. A while ago, we, excuse me, when the van was working, I just got finished working over at Walmart. Not working at Walmart. I was over there shopping. Sorry, my brain is somewhere else right now. And I saw a sign when I pulled in, and this lady needed a ride. So I did what I had to do. I said, I'll be right back. Came out and said, okay, now where are you going? She needed to get to Joplin, to the women's shelter. She didn't have a way out there. She had a few bucks on her. She was going to pay me. She said, don't worry about it. Put the money back in your pocket. You'll need it when you get somewhere. I paid for. I do this a lot. I pay out of my own pocket to help someone else out. Someone in the line needs money. I try to give them money. And in return, people do the same. They will help you out also. It's the same way when you give to the church. When you give a donation to the church, you get it back tenfold, according to what the Bible says. And it's true. It does happen. So don't. I mean, it might not happen immediately, but you will get it. You will get your rewards back. You'll be well rewarded. Okay. Let's look at verse 11. He that loveth pureness of heart, for the grace of his lips, and the king shall be his friend. Better is he who loves purity of heart and has grace on his lips. The king is his friend. Much explanation there. The eyes of the Lord preserve knowledge, and he overthroweth the word of transgressors. The Lord is the ultimate guardian of the truth. Verse 14. The mouth of the strange woman is deep pit. He that is abhorred by the Lord shall fall therein. A strange woman means adulteress, or cursed. Okay. I'm going to do verse 16. He that oppresseth the poor to increase the riches, he that giveth the riches shall surely come to want. The exploitation of the poor For person who gain in bribery of the riches will both lead to want or poverty. The next section of chapter 22 is verses 17 through 29. And this one talks about the Proverbs concerning various practices. This is chapter 22, verse 17, through chapter 23, verse 35. Okay, we're going to stop at 23 and we're going to pick up later there. Okay, so I'm going to read chapter 17. Bow down their ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply thine heart unto their knowledge. For it is pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee. There shall withal be fitted in thy lips. That thy trust may be in the Lord. I have made known to thee this day, even to thee. Have not I written to thee excellent things in counsel and knowledge, that I may make thee knoweth certain of the words of truth, that thou mightest answer the words of truth to them that sit unto thee? Rob not the poor, because he is poor. Rather oppress the afflicted in the gate. For the Lord will plead their cause, and spoil the soul of those that spoil me. Make no friendship with angry man, and with no furious man thou shalt not go. Verse 25. He shall learn his ways, and get a snare to thy soul. Be not thou one of them that strike hands, or of them that are sororities for debt. Verse 27. If thou hast nothing to pay, why should he take away thy bed from under thee? Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set. Seize those a man diligent in his business, he shall stand before the kings. He shall not stand before mean men. Okay, so we're now chapter 22, okay, verse 17 through chapter 24, verse 34 talks about this section records the words of the wise. The teaching or style returns to the pattern of chapters 1 and 9. The proverbial discourses, however, are not as expansive. Okay, verse 17 is bow down thine ear and hear the words of thy wise, and apply thine heart unto my knowledge. Bow down thine ear means to listen. The wise teacher invites the pupil to hear the words of the wise. Okay, verses 18 and 21 talks about the advantage of hearing the instruction of the wise, and wise are set forth. Okay, so 18 to 21. For it is pleasant for it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee. They shall withal be fitted in thine lips. That thy trust may be in the Lord, I have made known to thee this day, ever to thee. Have not I written to thee excellent things in counsel and knowledge, that I might make thee know the certainty of the words of the truth, that thou mightest answer the words of truth to them that send unto thee? Verse 18 talks about to be fitted in or to be ready on. Verse 20 says, have I not written excellent things? And you see that in Proverbs 22, verse 22 through verse 24, 22. Contains 30 units, each a few verses long. Okay, in verse 21, that I might make thee known the certainty of the words of truth, that thou mightest answer the words of truth them that send unto thee. Answer the words of truth means answer correctly. Them that send unto thee, better him who sent you. Again, verse 22 through chapter 22, verse 22 through verses 23 through 14. Chapter 23, verse 13 talks about the wise teacher set forth a series of precepts and warnings. Okay, in verse 23, for the Lord will plead their case and spoil the soul of those that spoil them. Spoil means spoiling the soul, or rob the soul, or take the life. Spoil or rob. In verse 24, make no friendship with an angry man, and with furious man thou shalt not go. Furious man means a man of hot-tempered man. Look at verse 26. Be not thou one of them that strike hands, or of them that are sureties for debt. Strike hands means confirm an agreement. Sureties means like a handshake. Obligating himself for the payment of another man's debt should be default. In the old times, instead of writing it down on paper, when there was paper is scarce and to write on, there's usually mostly for scholars and temples. Uh, when it comes to doing that stuff, they do handshakes to show or verbal consent that they agree with. Okay. Verse 27. If thou hast nothing to pay, why should he take away thy debt from under thee? He means the harsh creditor. Um, there are times that creditors or people repos, and if you ever get your vehicle repoed like that, they don't have a kind heart. They don't think that you need that vehicle to get a job or go grocery shopping or go to church. They don't think about those things. They just think, hey, he didn't pay for that vehicle, or they didn't pay, or like I said, they didn't pay for the vehicle, so they're gonna take the car back, leaving you high and dry. Verse 28. Remove not the ancient landmarks which thy fathers have set. To remove a boundary was the same as stealing. So, like when you play soccer or golf, you don't want to move the boundaries because then the game changes severely, especially like playing soccer or football. 29, the last chapter. Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before the kings, he shall not stand before mean men. Mean men means obscure men. And that will conclude today's Bible study. It's an hour and 13 minutes. Not bad. We got a lot accomplished. We're going to pick up, hopefully, tomorrow morning, Proverbs 23. Remember that, because we're going to be back studying again. May God protect everyone today as they go to church. If they can't go to church, Lord, let them be able to watch it. There are a lot of churches out there that actually live stream their church services. So if people don't want to see my church, Lord, help them find a church that they can watch if they cannot make it to church. I really do want everyone to try to go to church, and if they can. If they can't, I understand. Lord, protect them, guide them. Let them learn today as they go to church the words that is meant for our hearts. Help us grow spiritually as better Christians, Lord. Let this be as a time that we feast on your knowledge of the word that you've given us to make it grow in us, make us grow us to be better Christians, Lord, so that we may go forward and be witnesses to other Christians or to other people, so they may be saved. This I pray in Jesus' holy name. Amen. I guess I'll see you tomorrow morning. I will be live streaming our church service at the Independent Bible Baptist Church here in Pittsburgh, Kansas. I know I get to slow down. I'm speaking too fast. It's getting really late. I haven't been to bed yet. And I'm going to be up in a few hours to get ready to start getting ready for church. So, in the meantime, Like I said, I do apologize. I'm rambling off as quickly as possible. But you guys have a good Sunday, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. I will be live streaming our church services. It will start at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 Eastern Time. Okay, my church service starts at Bible study starts at 11 Eastern Time, 10 Central Time. The actual church service will be starting at noontime on the East Coast, and it will be at 11 o'clock here in Central Time here in Southeast Kansas. So, if you want to watch, if you live stream both on on my Facebook page and also in the King James Bible Study group, it will also be uploaded later on in the day to YouTube and Instagram as well as Rumble. So you can go to either any of those sites to watch the church service. There will also be a 5:30 Bible study tonight. Uh, so you guys are more than welcome. I'll be live streaming that also. You can, if you want to watch. So I'll see you then. For everyone, a good night. I'm going to try to get a couple hours of sleep before I have to get up and get ready for church. God bless every one of you, and I look forward to hearing from you.